What's up YouTube? It's me, Jess, and I'm an opera singer. Today's video is Patron Pick of the Month, and for this month they have chosen Post Modern Jukebox featuring Vaughn Smith performing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Let's go. As of this video, 88% of viewers of this channel are not subscribed. If you enjoy this content, I kindly ask that you hit that subscribe button below. It tells YouTube that this channel is valuable and in turn allows me to produce more content. Thank you, and let's get back to the video.
Yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, your troubles will be out of sight.
Nice.
Yeah. Yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Yes.
Nice.
Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together. If the fates allow, hang a shining star upon the highest bough. Yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Pause. There are so many things about this performance that I love and things that I was hoping would happen that happened. That's one of the best satisfactions ever. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is just this idea of candy, like just pops of candy, and all of the things he is doing physiologically to get out a certain effect. Now, this is such an iconic song, and there's so many different versions and so many ways to sing it. I love this performance because it's a perfect demonstration of how much the mouth plays a role into the actual end result of the vowel that comes out. That has to do with the shape of the lips, the position of the tongue, how high your soft palate is raised, how open your mouth is, how closed your mouth is. All of these, the smallest movement can make such a big difference in the actual production of sound. So with that being said, let's go back and look at some of the moments where you can actually see that in his performance. There are many techniques that Mr. Vaughn Smith is using during this performance that we have seen so far that bring so much character to his performance. I want to highlight mainly two to three things. The first two things that I want to highlight are two techniques that he uses that actually bring an opposite effect. The first technique I want to talk about is actually what he does on the first phrase on the first word, which is have. Now, if you notice during his performance, when he's getting ready to sing this note, his bottom jaw drops dramatically. You can see a couple of the front teeth within his upper row. And then as the note progresses, you can really see those bottom teeth shine and come through that vowel.
Have yourself.
In opposition, on the inhalation, Mr. Von Smith could have smiled, bringing the corners of his lips slightly upwards, which would allow more brightness to come through in the vowel. Now, what he did do is use that technique on the last two words of the phrase, the second phrase, in the words be light. Now, be already has a much more brighter vowel than have. Be with a closed E vowel allows him to bring that brightness through, and you can see that from how much of a smile he is on that in comparison to have, and how much teeth is shown on that vowel.
Let your heart be light.
What I liked what he did with that is he took advantage of that brightness in the E vowel and let it come through in the next word, light. And even though those two notes are a perfect fourth away, the distance between them did not sound that large at all because of how smooth the transition was. He used the tip of his tongue to sit on that L before landing on the note of the word light, which allowed that transition to just be so smooth. Now, let's talk a little bit about drama and how you can bring some drama or flavor to your singing. Now, a couple of things he is doing is definitely bringing up that energy level in some of the phrases. One thing is he is really sitting on some of his M's, especially for the word marry. You see and hear how long he sits on that M, unusually long compared to other performances.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
That definitely brings some tension. It brings a little bit of oomph to that word. And then on top of that, you notice how much he shapes his vowels in different ways on the same word, such as Christmas.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
You see how much his mouth moves as the notes move through the last syllable. But that dramatic mouth movement gives a lot of shape, a lot of nuance, a lot of different flavor. And that's a great thing to do to keep the momentum going, to keep your listeners engaged, and to just bring some sort of new flair to the ending of a phrase. Woo! Can we talk about the phrase, here we are as in olden days? Oh, here, what's that first note? So that first note is on an A4, and that can be pretty high for a tenor, especially considering how much chest voice you're going to bring up into that note. That note is fairly easy for soprani and for mezzos, but for a tenor, it's a whole different ballgame. Now, he uses a mixed voice on this note. It's not full on chest, it's not full on head, it's a mix of the two.
Here we are.
But it's powerful enough because he brought that speech factor to it, to where the presence is just right there. It's crystal clean, it's straight to the note, and it wasn't scooped into. I liked that. I liked that he just went straight for the note. As in golden days. Oh yeah, does he do then the transition into the word days and how he just effortlessly slid into his head voice into that note, which lands on a G4. But then I was not expecting that siren down into the days. I don't even know what note he goes to, but it just sounds so good because it was a nice surprise at the end of a phrase.
Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore.
Candies, cherries on tops makes this whole performance engaging. Now, last thing I want to talk about is what I was hoping would happen that happened, and that is not breaking up certain phrases within this song. Now, some of the lines in this song are quite long, and oftentimes they are cut through by adding a break, a breath in between them. And that's okay. You know, I understand that sometimes just the line is too long. What matters is if you do choose to take a break, that you make that breath very convincing, that you know that you're singing one phrase or one sentence. You're not letting it on that you need to take this breath because you're out of air, but that you're doing it in an artistic way and you're still connecting the two phrases to make one sentence, let's say. I love that he was able to hold out these longer phrases because I think in this scenario it sounds the best, and that's just my opinion. I know it's subjective, but it sounds really great here. So the first of two phrases that I am referring to in terms of holding out a longer phrase is "From now on, our troubles will be out of sight." Now, many times there is two breaths taken during this phrase. Sometimes there is one breath. And then other times, more rarely, there is no breath.
Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Yes.
I think it just sounds so great with no breath because it builds so much tension up until the very last note that is being held out. One of the greatest feelings I think in music, and something that like an entire paper could be written on. So, how does he get through this extremely long phrase? Well, we've got to look at his inhalation. That will tell you how he prepared for this phrase. Then you've got to look at what is he actually doing during the phrase. Is he singing with a lot of vibrato? Is he singing with a lot of straight tone? Is he mixing it up? And if so, where is he mixing it up? Why is he swelling here and not here? Is he starting off piano and then growing and then adding more piano? Or is he starting off piano and then just gradually getting louder? All of these things play a significant role in how your air is managed. Now, what I recommend is starting off totally in straight tone. It's the least demanding in terms of breath. So, looking at how he prepares for this phrase, he is very, very relaxed. You actually don't even hear an inhalation during this moment, and maybe that was taken out in post-production because you can see that he is preparing for this very well. You get a little bit of sound effects from his mouth, I believe, but you don't actually hear an audible inhalation. Now, what I like is how relaxed he looks, and that carries on from the phrase before. The phrase before, he was relaxed, his shoulders were down, and you don't see his shoulders move up, you don't see his chest bulk up, you don't see any of that dramatic effect that a lot of singers do when preparing for a difficult phrase.
Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Yes.
It's really a mental game. Believing that the amount of air that you took in is plenty to get through the phrase. What is very difficult is the management of that air through that phrase. I truly believe that is most singers' issues, not the amount of air they took in. And now let's see what he does with the notes as the phrase progresses. He uses a good amount of vibrato and straight tone, but you notice he only brings in vibrato when the notes are held out and towards the end of the note. He doesn't use a ton of vibrato on every single note. And then on top of that, the long note at the end of the phrase on the word away, he really keeps a good amount of that note on straight tone, and then when he understands that the phrase is going to be ending, let's say, in another half a bar or so, that's when he brings in his vibrato, because he has a good understanding of how much air he has left, and that's plenty enough to start adding vibrato now.
From now on, your troubles will be miles away. Yes.
Now, this would be a completely different situation should he choose to use vibrato on every single note throughout that phrase. It's a different practice mechanism that you have to go through. It's a different mental journey that you have to go through. It's much different than incorporating both straight and vibrato. Sounds amazing. Let's now continue this reaction by starting on the second long phrase of this song, which is on the lines, hang a shining star upon the highest bough.
Be together if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough. And have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Golden days of yore. Faithful friends,
Nice.
dear to us, gather near to us once more.
Oh.
Through the years, we all will be together. If the fates allow.
Nice.
But till then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. Have yourself
Oh.
a merry little Christmas now.
really, really, really fun. I love how they incorporated the instrumentalists, gave them a moment to have their solo part. And then what I also loved during that part was watching how everyone else who didn't have a solo react during that moment, especially the singer, because he's not holding anything, he's not, able to put any vulnerabilities or insecure feelings, holding an instrument. He's just there and he's front row center. So it's important to understand what you're going to do during that moment, and just being a true artist and truly enjoying what's happening. Just be free, be chill, engage with the soloist, react in a natural way. And I truly believe that's the best way to portray a genuine emotion. So that was amazing. He's got really great control of his upper register, and I actually just appreciate how he just went for it. Some notes that were extremely high, he didn't hesitate. He didn't second guess himself. You could just tell that he was committed to whatever type of voice he was going to choose to do on that note, whether that be head voice, whether that be mixed voice, or whether that be adding more chest voice into that mixed voice, which I think is really important to do. Have that commitment before so that you're that much confident when you go to do it. It's not like you're trying to choose on the spot. I give him props for that. I also liked the way that he sang Faithful Friends. He really gave a good amount of that F in the word faithful before exploding into the vowel.
Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us.
When you take the time to put that much emphasis in a word, it brings a new emotion out. It brings a new meaning to the line if you haven't heard it that way before. It's just, in terms of artistry, genius. Because what you're trying to do at the end of the day is bring people out of their element and make them feel something while listening to you. So, job well done, PMJ. Job well done, Vaughn Smith. This was a fabulous performance. Thank you, patrons, for choosing yet again another hit. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked all that you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Comment down below what performance by your favorite band you would like me to do an analysis on next. Lastly, make sure you check out the description box for ways you can keep in touch with me, get access to exclusive perks, and or check out the Soprano Notes blog. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!